You think I wouldn't do that to her? Think again.
Should I turn my phone off?
I saw the subject that I found like a long time ago.
I might call you two up here shortly. Just have a seat. So we
You want to, right?
yes, if he's up for it, it's your choice.
You want to, right?
I can bring a third chair up. That's no problem.
I'm just thinking that. I'm just teasing her. I do that every Thursday. If I don't do that, she will miss me.
All right. Let's get this show on the road, Zoe. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's good to see some familiar faces, and looks like we got some new faces as well. Hopefully, I think everyone on the videos will be happy to be with us tonight as well. And we're going to. I kind of got hit with this one in about 2 hour notice, so we're sitting like, okay, mad scramble. So this one's going to be a lecture from the heart. So, and I've asked for some help from our people in the audience to help me with this one today. So we'll do this. But let's start with an opening prayer. So, dear Lord, wonderful Master, mentors of the house, be with us now as we participate in this class. Let the material that we receive today benefit us, enlighten us, and guide us. Let that which we receive today open our minds, open our hearts to new paths and new ways of thinking that can help us with our own progress of self-improvement that brings us ever closer to your light. Amen. And I know we're always starting with our lovely little book from Happy Life, and I did a random pick for today. When a person opts for an upright life, a relentless inner struggle ensues. Like two armies clashing on the mental battlefield, nonstop confrontations rage on. The usual warriors, selfishness, pride, violence, and ambition, try to defeat the new combatants, love for one's neighbor, humility, peace, and selflessness. The person feels anguished and torn. The light of divine inspiration, however, shines on this stark battlefield, enlightening the soul and encouraging it to persist in its higher purposes. Invest your best efforts in life's battles and don't surrender. Each day of resistance is a battle won, drawing you closer to final victory. I sit back and I'm kind of reflecting on this one, and I'm sitting here like, because I know for me personally, as I mentioned in the past, it's like what drew me into and also made me become a lecturer is like the inner journey. And something I learned doing martial arts, it's like, yeah, you may be a student, but when you become a teacher, you have to learn it again and you have to learn it better. And so that was one of the things when that came to me when I was starting to say, like, okay, let me stand up and start giving these lectures. As I go back and review the things that I learned, and now I have to learn it differently. I have to learn how to convey it. I have to learn it better. And sometimes it's like I may have read a passage and thought about it, like, ooh, this isn't the way I remember it the first time. So I come back and reread it again and again, and you pick up more bits and pieces of it. But then again, I look back on the combatants, selfishness, pride, violence, and ambition. I know I struggle with those every day, and I'm sure others do too. And then that bring the new combatants, love for one's neighbor, humility, peace, and selflessness. Many of those things are things that are brought up to me when I came into joining the Spiritist movement, and even probably back when I was doing Lutheran communion or something like, or they going through that process, and is sitting there trying to think about this as like trying to live a life with peace, selflessness, love one's neighbors, live by the golden rule. Things that were easy to say, very hard to follow, very hard to do. With that, I will invite our two people to join us if they would like to. And unfortunately, I'm going to be springing these questions on you at the spur of the moment. Sorry. Then again, I had to write these things up. But for the most part, for this one, I picked. Oh, I got to stay by the microphone. The ancillary benefits of Spiritism. So this is not necessarily the doctrine itself, but it's everything around it.
So let me just
You got to hit the button to go green.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So let me just start with the lecture that you gave. Like, it's kind of a thinking. What is a point of view if not a view of a point?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at something in specific time, it changes everything when you look again in another time. Because first of all, you're not feeling the same feelings that you were feeling when you looked for the first time. You're not, you're, I believe you're wiser if time passes. So you have a different point of view, you have a different vision, a different understanding of facts. So I believe that, what you said, it's like, it's not what you're looking at, but what you're seeing. And normally we are just afraid or concerned about what are you looking at? No, why are you looking at me? No, it's what you're seeing when you look at me. What you hear when I talk to you. You here to reply or are you here to understand? So those kind of things are very important for the Spiritist doctrine. And we don't think about too much. We don't elaborate that kind of thing because life goes too fast. And well, there's some songs that say, yeah, go with the flow. So, hey, go with the flow, and you're gonna end up whatever you don't know. but try to control the winds, or at least your ship, and you're probably gonna arrive in a safe harbor.
Do you want to add anything to it or no?
Oh, you can have a lot of that.
No, you gotta go green.
Green.
There you go. I think you're on now.
All right, now I can hear.
Yep.
I can hear me. Yeah, I'm very new to the Spiritist movement, and I'm enjoying it.
You're very new, period.
Yeah, I am.
Young.
I'm very young. You know, so.
Let's start like this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, yeah, I enjoy coming here. I think that meeting all the people that are here who are so knowledgeable. They've got so much more to put together, and I can't say that I envy anyone because I have the same opportunity to learn all that the knowledge that they have through through books and through coming to these meetings every week. I used to come with my wife to the Portuguese on Monday, and I don't understand hardly a word of Portuguese. So, but I had the feeling that was created by what was in that room and what the speaker was speaking about and everything. I picked up on that, and it was a good vibration, and I felt better. So I said, well, geez, this is great. I wish I understood what they were saying. And so this is when we discovered that there was a Thursday night meeting here. And so my wife and I started coming, and I'm really happy I did. So what I can offer to you is come and learn.
Oh, yes.
And along with me, because every time I come here, I leave with something that I didn't maybe understand before. And there are certain words that or phrases that may come up in the conversation, and boy, it just like really sinks into me, and I take it with me, and I try to live by that feeling of understanding that I got through, listening to a great presentation, because there are some great speakers here, and I'm sitting next to two of them right now.
Hopefully, you'll consider yourself one in the future, but that's on your
Well,
time.
The best one is
that'll-
right there, but he doesn't think, he doesn't look at it.
But the one comment I would say to that is like, yes, please come, learn, listen. But the other point too is share. Because one of the many things that I learned from my own time, especially when you're going through the doctrine and studying each of the different like the different books, it's because of you had different experiences than I did or anyone else in this room. The words may seem slightly different to you. You may read it in just a slightly different way, colored by your experiences. But when you share it with others, it may help them that are maybe struggling to even understand the words, but they had maybe a similar experience, and they can follow your path, and they can follow your understanding to it. And it's been amazing hearing, like, we can read the exact same sentence, but come up with so many different meanings and understandings to it, because it's all colored by our own previous experiences, our own knowledge, and everything else. But it's amazing when you share that. It adds, oopsies. It adds to the color palette and it adds to the masterpiece and the artwork that is not only the doctrine, but God's wisdom in general. It's like, how much can you do when you learn, like, this person had a life and it adds a shade of blue. You talk to this one that adds a shade of red, and you start mixing these colors together, and next thing you know, you have this beautiful rainbow of colors with this vibrant understanding of maybe just a single sentence.
I agree with that.
Sir, what is your name? What is your name? Alex. How long you been coming to our session, our meetings?
Over a year.
Over a year? Can you answer something? And Rafael are gonna break her legs right now. Okay,
It's caught on camera. Don't
if
worry.
you need to explain to somebody what is Spiritism, how you go about.
I would say it's something that you believe as not a religion, but a doctrine, and something that gives you an idea of something beyond this life.
Oh, so that's Scientology.
No,
See, and you stop. That's the thing. People will always try to refer to something that they read about, heard about, and after we try to explain with our open heart, somebody give you an answer that is not what you expect, and all of a sudden your brain shuts down, and you say no, and you don't deliver a little bit more on that. So, yeah. No, I understand. But that's the normal reaction of us is just to be aware that no, and keep going, because sometimes no is just saying, okay, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's just a way that we human beings understand information that comes to us. We're really not too much interested in the answer, but only on the response, the time to respond. And that's the thing that when you talk about spiritism outside to other people and try to spread the doctrine, we need you to have this kind of understanding just to give some time and keep going until, sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not. But again,
Mhm.
as one of the lectures from Jesus, we just spread the seeds. We're not responsible for the harvesting. Thanks so much.
All right. Our first question for the night. How has your life changed since getting involved with Spiritism or the doctrine?
What about people say 360 degrees? Yeah, then you come back to the same place, right? Because 360 is a full circle. It's totally 180. It's like you start, although it is hard to walk the talk, as you said. When you have the knowledge about what is right and what is wrong, at least you save yourself from some trouble. I cannot say all the trouble, but from some trouble. And you start seeing things, as our friend just said, as you just said, as Will just said, in a different perspective. Because right now, it's not just what I'm seeing in front of me. We used to talk about ourselves, aka spirits, in a third person, like the soccer players when they talk about themselves. They just say, "Oh, Neymar will play pretty good today," and just Neymar talking about himself. So when I take care of my spirit, no, my spirit take care of my body. It's totally different. It's not the body. We are not this. We are the energy that animates this. So when you start understanding that we are not a third part of our lives, then you have more ways to respond and more ways to act a little better.
Yep. You kind of poked on one when you said when you were joining over in the Monday session, you were feeling that the atmosphere, you were feeling the energy of the place.
Right. I have to say that where it started was in Brazil. Actually, is when I go with my wife to. She's a member of the Spirit Center in Arizway, and I would go there, and I used to take my sketchbook with me, and just when I would sit down, I would start sketching, and I couldn't believe, because of all the energy that was in the room, some of the sketches that I created, that I was kind of surprised at myself. And at the end of when I would draw a whole drawing or something rather, and I said, well, what inspired me to do that? Well, I think it was because of all the energy that was in the room was coming into me, and I didn't understand it then because everyone's speaking Portuguese. But when I started coming here, it really has changed my whole perspective in life. I was, I thought I had a vision of where I wanted to go in life and everything. But after coming here, I found that, man, some of the things that I thought were important in life, not important at all, and now what's important to me is coming here on Thursday night. I look forward to it. It's my, what used to be a Sunday in my past life, I guess, because I was a Catholic, born and raised Catholic. And of course, you went to church every Sunday all my life. And now I look forward to coming here because, and I think I'm a more calm person because I used to be just bouncing off the walls. I have such tremendous energy all the time that I was just, it was very difficult for me just to sit still and just listen to someone's speech or talk or something or other. But now I look forward to it. I think that's one of the things that has probably changed me is how much more relaxed I am and more acceptance of other people's feelings, other people's perspectives. And so I think that that's what has probably helped me here very much.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
For me, oh boy, where to start? Yeah, because like I said, I was Lutheran or Catholic light. So for it was we would go to church and everything else, and I'd sit there, but I would not feel fulfilled. I mean, I'd hear the messages and everything else, and the messages would be they're great and everything else, but they didn't resonate with me. They didn't like speak to me. And so then I came into the center, and they had an English study group, and at the time they were doing a purple book called Spiritist Principles, which is like Spiritism in simplest expression, and then the three speeches that Allan Kardec has. Like I think it's What is Spiritism, and then Spiritism in simplest expression. They were combined in one book. So we were reading that, and we were in that second half. So it was the simplest expression. So it was kind of like a boiled down spirits book. So it's just real simple. And we started with those. But the thing that really impressed me was ask questions, challenge. Because the big question is they wanted to have that deeper understanding. And that is something for me personally, I have been searching for. And it's why I've been so engrossed in studying this material. It's like, I think I read like 2 Spiritist books before I read any other book of any other kind. So I'm reading 2 Spiritist books, and then I'll switch and do like Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Then I'll switch back 2 books of Spiritism, then I'll switch and do something else. But it's like I've always been focused on it because it allows me that deeper understanding that I felt that I needed. There was a core drive for me to understand moral principles and how I need to live a better life. I've had that since I was 8 years old, to just do that. And within Spiritism, it awakened me and it fulfilled that need, and it gave me tools, it gave me knowledge, it gave me, like you're saying, things to guide myself. Because I mean, like you, I was kind of like I have that artistic streak too, where I can go wild and do this energy in all different kind of ways. But when I started focusing and saying like, hey, focus it towards God, then they actually became better stories. They became like your sketches. But I was like, I'm sitting here and like I'm writing stories that have like, they're not like I used to write like stories about fights and battles and everything else. But then when I started writing about people trying to overcome their own inner battles, it takes a different story altogether. So.
I think the greatest thing about Spiritism, it's like I was trying to compare with the learning another language. And when I came to US, I pretty much thought that I speak and could understand well. But yeah, there's a lot of slangs and stuff that you don't understand. So what I did was just listen to only English, let my brain get lost, as Will said, when he comes here on the Portuguese. And all of a sudden, my brain start picking one word from here, another word from there, another word from there, making a sentence or out of this, making some sense out of this, and all of a sudden I understand Spiritism is a way easier because you don't need to do that because you have two ways. You have the doctrine, but you have some novels too. So I remember when I was 18 and I was a mess, big time.
You're
What's
leading,
that?
you're leading to the second question.
Yeah.
Have you read anything that has helped direct the course of your life for self-improvement? So you're just mentioning books. So
Yeah, and I was like kind of, tired of do this or that will happen. Do this or that will happen. So I went to a lot of different religions. And believe me, in Sao Paulo, you can find anything that you want. But all of them was like, in their own sense, heaven and hell. And then Spiritism come with the law of cause and effect. And that's a way more fair in my way of seeing that. Of course, if you're going to do something, something else is going to happen, period. But it's not that you go to hell just because of that. Or you go to heaven just because of that. Because the picture of you sitting and angels coming with grapes and you listen to songs, so they are angels, why they are working or not? If they're angels, why they are working and you're sitting eating grapes and listen to music? That's something wrong in this picture. So I always start questioning that. And then I got Nosso Lar
Mhm.
and Astro City, right? And that was like, oh, that I can't believe. That seems, pretty believable. So I start going on, and the rest is story.
Yeah, I think the first book that I started reading was Genesis, and I thought that was really interesting. A whole different perspective on creation and everything, and I really enjoyed that. Then I read, I think,
2,000 years ago.
2,000 years ago. That was
Mhm.
excellent, I thought. And then I read Stephen,
Paul and Stephen.
Stephen.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you were right there. I don't know how they put that together. There's just so much pain and suffering and I don't know what else I could say because it was
There you
really a
go.
powerful,
There you go. Oh,
powerful.
nice little.
Yeah, okay,
You're reading it right now.
good. And I just finished last night, Heaven and Hell. So I think that everybody should pick up one of those books or all of them, I should say, not one.
Oh yeah, all of them.
And all of them. Yeah,
Don't know if
right.
you guys felt sometimes like when you read some of those novels, say, okay, that's gonna happen again. I'm not gonna read one more page, and all of a sudden put to the side 5 minutes again. 5 minutes later, you pick it up again and start reading again.
Uh-huh.
So, what was your first book?
I was invited to read a specialized copy of 2,000 Years Ago that was done from our center up there. And what made it special is not only did they translate 2,000 years ago, but they hired a archaeological study of 2,000 years ago. And so there was an appendix that they put on the back of it. And so the archaeologist was going through and verifying Publius's words. When he mentions a specific type of wine, there's archaeologists that were able to go back and find Roman tablets of orders for senators and everything else. They could even find, I think, if I want to, it's been a while since I've read it, but I want to say that they've actually found Senator Publius there was a documentation of Senator Publius at the time of Jesus. So here was 2,000 years ago being partially verified through archaeological records. And I'm sitting here like, wow. And I know I mentioned this in the past too in private, but since in the spoiler alert, the end of the book, he dies on Pompeii with Vesuvius. But he describes in details that he was being hugged by his daughter, his sons, and everything else. So, but then come forward 2,000 years ago, they've gone to Pompeii. They found the holes of the people, and I would have just sat there and said, and like they have, to my knowledge, they haven't found it. But I was gonna say, if they ever found the spot where Publius died, and they filled that with a plaster cast, and so when they revealed that plaster cast, it shows Publius exactly as it's written in the book. Can you imagine how many minds would be blown just by that? Now, I'm sorry that I wish that that version of 2,000 years ago would have been allowed to be copied, but they, for reasons I won't get into, they were saying like, no, it's that was written through Chico. We're going to keep it separate. We're not going to do anything like this. But I thought that was, especially going small tangent, but we were going to, they were saying like, on the way to the light, they were saying like Brazil's the heart, America's the mind, the head. And it's like, that was something that triggered me. So it's like, oh, that appealed to the brain more so than the heart. So having these books being verified again was like amazing, and it appealed to my mind, my rational mind.
And that's how Spiritism was known or was spread, because first curiosity, right? The flying
Yep.
tables and everything, but all of a sudden there was books like that is a biology, very difficult to read book in between worlds that Chico wrote one chapter and another person wrote another chapter, and both of them didn't have any knowledge of the so advanced information that they were written about.
Mhm.
And so every time Spiritism tried to get the St. Thomas per se, the ones that need to see you to believe.
Mhm.
And I believe that was Haroldo Dutra, which is a speaker down in Brazil. And he talks about Jesus marketing, not in a bad sense, but Jesus always told his disciples and people that were with him, go ahead and spread what I did today. Spread that I'm here to cure. Spread. So people will come to him, and when they come to him, they can educate them.
Mhm.
So that's what Spiritism has been doing since ever.
All right. Move on to our final question. Has your presence and interaction with the center shaped your life?
I think that it certainly has, because I feel different, to tell you the truth. Coming here, it's a nice, you leave, you come, we all come for a reason, because we come here because of our daily routine. It's so hectic and life is crazy, and the commute coming here sometimes is, we all know what that's about. And then we get here and you meet people in the lobby out here, you talk for a little bit, then you come in here, you settle down, you start feeling the feeling that's here and everything. And you absorb the lecture of the evening, you get passes, you go back out and you speak to people out there. And on the way home, it's like I'm home in minutes, whereas it took me like an hour to get here. It felt like, because it's only a 30-minute drive, but it was like an hour. But it seems like because I'm much more relaxed, I'm much more, feeling of, gentle or something like that. That's the only way I could put it. And yeah, I think that it has changed me, made me a better person.
Yeah, it changes two ways. First, in my physical appearance, because the kitchen is so good that and it's all Dilma's fault. She brings so many goodies here. But yes, just in a more serious note, when you belong to something greater than yourself, you have a better sense of accomplishment. And when you know that what you're doing, it's helping people, that's the same way. Not because you don't do it because of that, but you feel like that. This is probably the best description of empathy. Empathy is when you give something to somebody else without getting anything, thinking about getting anything back, but the energy that you get out of that, it's so powerful that you replenish yourself. So I believe that this is what the center does for me, and hopefully for you guys when you come. And if it's not, again, start working around with people, start spreading the word, and you see that this is really rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mentor?
Ooh, I got a very special story because like I just transferred down here to Orlando from New Jersey, but so I'm down here. I know nobody, but once I found out that there was a center and everything else, and I did meet Livia when I used to go to all the symposiums when we were traveling around the country doing those. So I knew her. So I came in here and she was president of the center. It was like that was a thing, but it's like it was always a welcoming presence. Going to even and like now this is now my home center. Even though I still interact with my other centers and everything else, and I've traveled to every time I've gone to another center on for a travel for the symposium or anything like that, it's always been welcoming. It's always been friendly. It's always been open. Whether they only speak Portuguese, English, or both Spanish, it just seems like together we are a cohesive family, and it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, your upbringing or anything like that. You're always welcome here, and that was always the biggest thing for me. A couple weeks ago, someone says, hey, we know you're struggling to find friends. Why don't you come over here and be part of our Carnival of Love that we do every other weekend, where we help with the homeless. Came in, made sandwiches, did snack bags, everything else, and then the very next morning we went and we handed it off to a bunch of people. It was a wonderful time, and it was like it was not a waste and everything else. I got to meet new people. I got to help people, so I had that feeling fulfillment that I needed, just because, like I says, I'm here, don't know anybody, kind of lonely, but I'm always welcome here. I'm always welcome at the center. And like it says, and I hope to everyone else out there that they are also welcome too. And I hope they have that same feeling.
What I love about the center that we always have those unsung heroes, right?
Always.
And those are people that work in the backstage and people don't notice. But today it's the birthday of one of them. So my friend Russ, you are on the pillars of the center. You became one of the pillars of the center just because of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend, thank you so much. It's your birthday, but we got the gift. We got the present.
I was going to say this concludes our portion of the Q&A session. Thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you.
And kind of like the last Q&A session, they kind of sitting there, it's like, hey, just do something else, do a small lecture. But before I get into that, is there questions from anyone here in the audience have any questions or something they would like to say, speak about, anything at all?
I want to say something that when we talk about spiritism change our lives, and I think it's very nice. Each one of you talk about the centers and things like that. That's great.
There's a microphone coming to you.
I'm sorry.
That's
To
all
me,
right.
what comes to my mind is the fact that the spiritism being the consoler, it doesn't matter what center you are. It doesn't matter if you're by yourself at your house. Is that the message that will get into your soul and
Mhm.
to make you go through life, you know? So, because even though most of us have been centers that we are welcome, there are centers that are not so welcome, and we shouldn't be attached to the people per se that works at the center, because the spiritism is not about the people, because we all gonna fail, you know, as a worker, as a, There
Mhm.
might be days that we might be up there in the reception, don't look at anybody's face because we're distracted and things like that. And we cannot, confuse ourselves with what the workers do, what the spiritism bring, what the center, spirit center brings, and compare it to the message, because we are here for the message, for the food for our soul, pretty
Mhm.
much, no matter where we are. So that's
Right.
kind of make me reflect as well in that
Yeah.
question, what it means to me, and it means a lot,
Like I
pretty
was
much.
like I mentioned earlier, it's like because it's like when we reread it, we read it from a different point of view based on our experiences and everything else. Because it's like if the mountain is to be with God, we can all choose our different routes to get there. We may go up on one side, we may go up another side. The path is the destination is the same, but the path will be different, and it will be different for all of us. So we can't expect everyone to have the same path. And yeah, right, we are going to stumble, we are going to fall. If either whether you're the president of the center, a lecturer, or just someone that's just in regular attendance, the message, we're here, like you said, we're here for the message, we're here to learn from the message. And that was always when they asked me to start being a lecturer, that was the thing. It's like learn it as you would know it and share it as you know it, and maybe someone else will learn it. They may not. I may say things and people are like, that makes no sense to me. Maybe to someone else it does. But then again, we have multiple lecturers. So maybe you may not understand me. You'll understand Pete. You may understand Valdo. You may understand many of the other ones we have here today. And that's something I've always liked about the center myself is there is no one person speaking. So we always invite people to speak, and I'm sure, and as I say, I'm sure we can invent. If you say they're like, "Hey, can I do one lecture, just one?" I think we would be able to accomplish that and sit there and have you come up and speak from your heart, speak what Spiritism means to you. You pick the topic, you present it, and you come up here and share. It was, I mean, like I says, I've only been here a little over 6 months now, and I've now given, this is my fourth or fifth lecture, and I know the first one was kind of sprung on me, and I was like, oh, can you give a lecture? And I was like, sure, why not? Even today, 2 hour notice, make a lecture, you got it. So, but thank you so much for the share. That was greatly appreciated. Actually, very wise too. Compliment you. So, so I'm sitting here going through my library of Spiritist books, and I'm sitting here saying like, what can I speak about? What can I speak about? And actually, it was one of the most recent books I got. Forgiveness is the way, and the way to forgiveness, from written through Alberto Alameda. And deep in the book, I did the random opening, and it came up to this section on self forgiveness. And these are just the bold pieces in front of. There's like this like 3 pages long, but it was interesting to read and just see just what these headers were saying. Like for self forgiveness entails these steps, and it listed these 5: aligning ourselves with our inner Christ, and that you are God's, quoting John chapter 10, verse 34. And it was like saying something, something I was mentioning. I was talking to some kids on a beach, and they're part of a spiritual thing and everything else. They were wanting me to reread Romans, for the wages of sin is death, except through Christ. So they were going through that one, and I was telling them, I was actually trying to tell them my journey through with Spiritism too. And it was and inner Christ was one that I came into it. And I says like, and I told them, I was like, from the way I read the doctrine, Jesus is not divine being separate from us. Jesus is big brother. He's our supreme example. We can be like him. He was human as we are human. He's the most advanced human that has ever existed on planet Earth. But that is who we are to aspire to be. That's our summit of our mountain. That's our goal. How we get there is going to be wild and varying, but that's the goal. But it was saying, make sure that you are your own God, that you have that power. You are a son or daughter of God. It's like he made all of us his children. So that alone also reaffirms our own divinity. And it's something that we got to keep in mind. It's like we're not just created beings, but we have a tie to our creator, a divine tie to our creator, and our creator set this goal that we would grow to be like him. So that was the first start, is realizing your own power, that you are your own God. And it's like small g, not the big one. Got to make that point very clear. Acknowledging our wrongs, repentance, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So to forgive yourself, you have to understand why you fell down, why you hurt yourself, or why the pain is coming. And then you take responsibility for it, the expiation, and then to each according to his works. So you don't get heavy penance for a minor crime or a minor infraction. It's like you don't get penalty for weaving in front of someone, cutting someone off in traffic, but you would if you cut someone off and they ran off the road and end up getting killed. That's different. And this is one of the things we have to take responsibility for. We have to take responsibility for our actions. And I know we mentioned it before. It's like with the knowledge we receive, kind of makes things more interesting. It's a little harder because we understand that we are responsible for our actions. That whole phrase, YOLO, you only live once, goes right out the window. Once you realize it's from the doctrine, it's like, no, you do not live once. You live many times. And you will have the consequence of that, if not in this life, in another life. So you take responsibility for your actions, but then correct the error. Know that you did something wrong, but how are you going to fix it? How are you going? This is the hard part, because that's the self-improvement. Correct the error. Let him take up his cross daily and follow me. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. That was something when I did the cover to cover read of the Bible, it's amazing how many times Jesus was sitting there. It's like, just follow me. I'm your example. As I mentioned before, it's the example. Take up your cross and follow me. So that's what he's trying to lead us to do. So sit there and realize that you've done wrong, but there's ways to do it. And hopefully through guidance, through enlightenment, study, or like I mentioned before, with the sharing. Sometimes when you share, you may actually illuminate the path to fix someone else's wrong. So I just started learning how to paint on canvas. Looked horrible compared to how I paint other things, but I'll get better with time. And I'm sure if I talked to another artist, they would give me exactly. I'll get some tips, and guess what? I get better, and I won't be as bad. It's an improvement. So I would correct an error. That's minor error because it's just painting, but it's still.
And that's about that perspective as well, because when you talk about Jesus, Jesus was the highest, right?
Yeah.
So follow me. I can't. I'm not even close to you. So the perspective or the teachings doesn't say, okay, step by step we're gonna get to there. So follow as much as you can. Not try to be or to do what he did.
No, you can't do it in a day.
Because otherwise you're gonna give up.
Mm-mm. No, like it says, and it's a take up the cross daily. So it's you have to pick up, you have to take on that, like you put it down at night and rest, then you pick up it in the morning and you carry on. But it's a mission, it's a challenge. It's the ultimate challenge in many ways. Can you be like Jesus? Can you live like Jesus? Hard to do. We've mentioned it before. Easy to say, very hard to do. And that's the challenge, and that's the goal. It's like, it shouldn't be hard. We've made it harder on ourselves. And that's the as we learn through Spiritism, that's the whole thing, is we put our own obstacles in our path. We refuse to take the easy path. We want to take this path, thinking it might be better, it might be scenic, it might be more fun, but it delays us getting to where we want to go. So, and then The last one here, after you do your correction, celebrating the victory of self-forgiveness. Her many sins are forgiven, for she loved much, but he who is forgiven little loves little. So, most important thing, it seems like I read this and I'm realizing just how much that love is there. And something outside of the center is one of the things that I get in all these conversations about self-love, loving yourself, everything else. And then I read this and I'm sitting like, well, this is exactly what we were talking about. It's like, you can't forgive yourself if you don't love yourself. And maybe that's part of the process you have to go through. You have to sit there and go through, acknowledge that it's like you hold yourself to like for self-love, you hold yourself to a higher standard. That's your wrong. You don't accept who you are. But then again, that is the next step, taking responsibility. Accept who you are. Accept that you're infallible. Accept that you may not get it the right time around. And then you start correcting errors. So it's like, maybe I can't do this, but maybe I can do this to improve and everything else. And then most of us always do the diet thing. So it's like we're all happy when we lose those 10 pounds and everything else. And then that was our correcting our error. And then we're all happy with it because like, yes, we lost the weight and we can celebrate. So, and this is the thing. We were sitting like with all these, it's just funny how I'm talking about self-love outside the doctrine. And then I read something from within the doctrine, or in this case, an extra book outside of it that supplements it, and how the two mesh together. As I said earlier, this is one of my biggest things I had with being in the church. It's they would say things, they'd be saying great lofty things, but it didn't connect to me. But as I like here, just reading this text today, random flip, found this, and I am automatically able to start connecting that with things in my recent past, things that's going on in my life. I can bring this and pull this into myself and learn from it and grow from it. And that was kind of one of the big things I was always pushing for. And it's one of the things that is, again, it's my draw for here. And it's something that's like when I felt the urge to sit there and say, hey, you've learned enough, start speaking. And I got the desire to come up and start lecturing, because this is the thing I was told. It's like, I go out and I look and I see how many people do not take the time to work on themselves, improve themselves inside. They can lift muscles or lift their weights, get big muscles and everything else. They can dress cool and everything else, but they're hollow inside. And I came in here saying like I said, like, you know, when I was 8 years old, I knew something about I had to live a moral life. And this doctrine just goes right to it and says like, you've got to live a moral life. There's a reason to it. And it's been my driving force for me. And it's always like every time I'm speaking up here as a lecturer, that's always guiding my lectures. It's like, I won't present something unless it's had something to do with me that I can take to improve myself, that I can share with you. So that's, like I said, that's my style of teaching when I'm up here doing a lecture, because that's my passion, that's my drive, that's my path. To others, it's something different. But hopefully you like this. But as of now, I think it would be about time for us to calm down and go into start our vibrations. So if we could just dim the lights. Let's see if I can.